our families. I'm not talking. When I say that Nigerians are suffering, I'm not talking about you and I, who perhaps are eking earnings from whatever we do, and we are doing just fine. We can feed our families. I'm talking about the larger population. I'm talking about the 80, 90 million people that have been categorized as multi-dimensionally poor.
Statistics is fuzzy. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that many.
You don't agree with those statistics.
No, I don't.
So just before we get to it, there are a lot of statistics that you don't agree with. We'll get there. I'd like to get your own alternative statistics.
Yes. But even from the population of Nigeria,
question I'm asking,
I feel that we should do a better work on our population. I think we often overbloat it, sometimes for political reasons. So you say, we'll go and do that population, and that's part of the problem I'm talking about in saying that if just coming to say, majority of Nigerians, you know what you do? You gaslight the government. When you gaslight the government, everybody loses focus. Anybody can come from the village and say, you know what? I have 100,000 people in my village. They need money. They are hungry. And they take money from government. The money disappears. That increases the inefficiency in the system and corruption. Therefore, we need to be a lot more precise,
Dr. Fasua,
and actually interrogate our numbers better.
I'm saying that no matter either you agree with 150 million multidimensionally or 130 million multidimensionally poor.
People don't even understand the meaning of multidimensional poverty. They think that multidimensional poverty is worse than food poverty, is worse than average. What it means is, what multidimensional means that even me or you, we could be in that.
You have an area of poverty that you experience.
You are this, maybe the school that your children may attend is too far from you, or the hospital is too far from you. That's what they're saying. If it's a certain distance, then they categorize you under multidimensional.
And I'm saying
the word looks very big. Therefore,
I'm saying those who are earning
poverty, food poverty,
absolutely, and those who are earning less than $1 per day, who have been categorized as those who are living in abject.
With that number, $1 per day. $1 is 1,500. Look. 1,500. Okay, that's a lot of money for many people in Nigeria. If you say, look, and that takes us to.
So you do not agree
purchasing
with
power parity. Is what we should look at. So look, $10 won't buy you lunch anywhere in the US. Hardly. You need at least $20. $20 times 2, that's 30,000.
Sometimes you might get an $7 for your child to get breakfast.
Indeed, for a child,
sandwich and a cup of coffee.
For a
$4, $5.
Is that even food? But I'll tell you what you can do with $5. $5, that's 7,500. If you're not going to eat at the Hilton or some eyebrow place, there's a lot you can do. In Guanipa, there's people that sell, just like in Port Harcourt, Bolly and fish on the roadside there. You eat for 1,500. If you know where you're coming from, you say you're on minimum wage. If you're on minimum wage, that's you can't be talking minimum wage at the same time you're talking of eating in
Dr. Fasua,
very important
this government that you work for landed and is planning on the data that we have. I'm surprised that you are disagreeing with those data. But the fact that those who are living in abject poverty and defined as such by these bodies that are bringing out this data. See, but the question here, let's look at it from the prism and the glasses of the number one man. That thick glasses of the number one man. What is he seeing? Is he seeing reality? That Absolutely. There is a minimum of 70 million Nigerians who are really in it. Who are really in that poverty bracket.
Oh no, yes. Indeed,
is he seeing them?
Indeed, of course, he's seeing them. Remember that one of my concern is, look, we have to know exactly what we want to achieve. If, for example, we were coming from 80, 90 million and it's down to 60 million or 70 million, that is an achievement. If we want to take it down to 0, that is not going to be possible. There's no way in the world where people don't suffer. There's no economy that you won't find people who are suffering. In fact, in Nigeria, because of what you call social capital, is not too, here is a place where you could go and stay with your brother or your sister, get something to eat and so on. You could even stay with them for a few months. Abroad, when you are down and out, you miss your rent and you don't have a job or whatever, they kick you out. You from sleeping on the streets, you'll be going to collect the dole just to survive from one day to the other. There's so many people. I mean, it's the same thing. We know about all of the way these things work, So we know that. But look, we're not going to take on any and every statistic. For example, the one that says $2 per day, people should earn $2 per day. $2 from where to where to say that is where you begin to determine who is poor. In the villages of Nigeria, you don't even need $1 to survive in a day, where you have your farm, and you can actually eat something and you're okay with yourself. So you cannot determine Nigeria's poverty with the benchmark of New York, because it's different, and the prices of what they sell. In fact, the truth is that what $10 would do in New York, you only need $1 in Nigeria. It's a factor of 10.
So you are asking for a different benchmark.
No, we're
to categorize
the World Bank will come to Nigeria and give us their own standard. They're not actually telling us that we can't have our own standard. We have to get to that point where we can have our own standard.
You are advising this. You are defining this. You are advising this government on that. So what are you people doing in that respect?
In which respect?
You were saying that we need a standard to be able to adjudge our livelihood.
So the first thing we have done, I mentioned to you that look, we have done. They had to have a long discussion, and at the end of the day, they increased the minimum wage from 30,000 to 70,000. That's about 130% or thereabout, and we're moving on from there, you see. And, we're also ensuring that this is enforced not only in the public sector, but also in the private sector. Remember that the reason why we have inflation, which is now receding to 26.13%, but the reason why we had it in the first place that high, is because everybody had marked up their invoices. Everybody had marked up their costs. If, for example, this was a commercial venture that you run here, I believe that you're not going to be charging what you were charging last year, except the business is not viable. For most businesses that are viable, they will be able to increase their prices. So all we're just saying is, look, we know we are standing in the gap to say that people should pay more to their staff. In fact, that's the real problem now. The real concern and what you are raising is actually the inequality crisis, the inequality problem. Minding the fact that if you look at the available information, Nigeria is actually not one of the more unequal countries in Africa. In fact, we're perhaps the 5th or 6th equal countries in Africa. And you know why? Because the average Nigerian does not take no for an answer. The average Nigerian is a hustler. He moves out, he gets what is own. Like they will say, you chook head in one or two places, you submit some invoices, and before you know it, boom. I mean, look at where you are in Guzape here. Look at people own all these houses. Some of them are young people. It's not all fraud, right? Some you see young Nigerians, and they have actually transcended Nigeria. People like Flutterwave, they've been to Kenya, they're in Ghana, they're in everywhere. We're moving. You go to Liberia. Nigerians own almost everything that works in Liberia. So because the Nigerians are irrepressible people, and we have to continue to be